So often a word arises for me that seems appropriate. And the one that arises now, if anything, seems obvious. And it's just the word challenge. And the journey through life that we're all on has moments of challenge. We've all experienced them in different ways over the course of our lifetime. Rarely in our particular configuration have we experienced it together. But we are all now facing challenges, partly collective, but also very much of our own making. It's who we are that responds to the challenge. And everybody is in their own place. And when I hear from you guys, I'm always amazed by how different our experiences are right now. Everybody. We are not sensing the world in exactly the same way, although there are collective ingredients that are very primal and very much part of our day to day. Who we are in relationship to those ingredients is very different. And it's hard to give the universal talk only because we process it all so differently. That doesn't mean there isn't a universal talk. When we all go to a movie and have a basic experience of a movie, we've tapped into the universal. If an audience laughs together and cries together, something has engaged the total fabric, and that is an exquisite thing to have happen. Today's the Super Bowl, and there will be moments where hundreds of thousands or millions of people will be focused on one point, the ball moving through the stadium. Some cheering for it to do one thing, some cheering for it to do another thing. So we're in a way divided, but engaged. And engagement seems to be deeply essential in meeting challenges. When you are engaged and involved and connected and working through whatever it is that's affecting you at any given moment, you are perhaps rising to the challenge, rising to the occasion, going to do the work that needs to be done in any given moment to get through the challenge. Some challenges are insurmountable. Some are not. Sometimes it helps to know the difference, but we don't always, or we do in different ways. So we all have to face our lives with a kind of uncertainty about how do we take care of business? How do we deal with this particular strain of reality that's affecting us at this moment? Well, one of the strange collective truths of the moment we're in is that reality as we know it is really bifurcating and changing in so many ways. And so there really are people having and believing in different realities. And each one of us thinks our reality is probably closer to what is real than the other person's reality, some of which seem deeply incoherent on some fundamental level. And so what we try to do is hold on to our reality and meet the challenge that's in part of that reality. And sometimes that challenge is simply to hold our reality when other realities are streaming at us in so many disconnected ways. We are a very distracted society right now. The world is distracted. We are distracted individually. It's hard to get a hold of what to do now. We are in a year of involvement in this pandemic, a year. And everyone I talk to and everyone I know goes, okay, enough. I've had it. I can't do it anymore. But the pandemic's not listening to us. It's still present. It may even be getting worse or more intelligent in its own way, which is scary for all of us and challenging. What if this thing does continue? And what if it gets worse, even though we're trying to make it so it gets better? How do we handle this uncertainty and this real affront on our day-to-day comfort and our day-to-day life? It is a challenge. Meeting the challenge is something you have to figure out on your own terms. There's nothing I can say or the New York Times can tell you or the Washington Post or CNN or anybody else about how to meet your challenge. There are some of you who may feel like this is not a big problem and this is fine. I'm doing great. Okay. I mean, that's wonderful. But if the challenge is there, what to do? And I'm always brought back to the core element of the Rudy teaching, which is ask for help, to surrender. And I really love the idea of asking for help because we are individually relatively weak. Collectively, we are much stronger, and in a much deeper sense, in our true sense, we are the essence of strength itself. But as a human being, as a person, as an individual, with our own mindset, our own history, our own dramas, our own fears, we are very, in a way, cut off. And asking for help helps because it implies probably one of the most important elements in asking for help is that there is a source of help. There is something out there to help you. And if you ask for help and you are sincere and you are real in your need, it would be hard to imagine that help on some level does not, in a way, arrive. It may not arrive from outside. The world may not align itself with your particular needs or desires. But when you ask for help in a really, truly deep and profound way, something in you will rise to offer that help. Something in you will come up and go, gotcha. Got your back. I have you. You're okay. Stay quiet. It's going to be fine. Whatever that quietude is, that is a knowing quality of our inner being that some people are never able to access. But if you ask for help, it hears you and it will, in its own way, rise up. It will comfort. It will take your hand. It will get you through. Everybody is struggling. Maybe there are some people who are not. In some way they're totally smug and comfortable and everything is fine and the state of the world and the state of mankind and humanity and the country and the political universe is not a problem for them. God bless. That's a great gift, I guess. But if you are struggling, know a number of things. One is that if you ask for help, you will find it. Two, if we come together in a collective like we're doing right now, something really remarkable occurs. I cannot describe it more than I arrive at this space to sit down as a deeply imperfect being. Just this guy, Bruce. I sit down and I open myself up to something very deep and helpful. And the next thing I know, it starts to flood through. And it's interesting because when I start the class, I'm sitting with each of you appearing one at a time, kind of jumping onto the screen. And each one of you causes this thing to go, it's this opening. And I feel like the luckiest person in the world because I feel available to you by loving you. This enormous surge of love. And I go, I don't know where this comes from. Each one of you has your own identity marker. Each one of you has your own quality of being. Each of you is unique in a particular way. And this love loves you exactly as you are. It is extraordinary. It makes peace with all of your shortcomings. It does not analyze. It does not go in and go, oh, you should do this and you should do that. It just loves you. And it is so powerful. And I am a beneficiary of that flow. I get to feel it as though I love you. And in a way, it keeps redirecting me back to me. And I realize I love you. And who am I that loves you? That's the real remarkable, you can call it the mystery of all of this, but it's something greater than Bruce. This thing that loves you is deeply, deeply, deeply connected to who you are, to your being. It cares profoundly about you in a moment-to-moment reality. How and why, I don't know. But then there are challenges. This week for me was a challenge. And I'll describe it because I don't know that it's something you go through, but it's something you may go through. But it seems part and parcel of this evolving state of awareness or consciousness or of the witness of life. And what arose for me this week, which was among the most uncomfortable sensations ever, every week I give you a different one. This week it was very specific. It really was meaninglessness. Nothing had meaning for me. Nothing. I kept looking for meaning. And nowhere could I find anything that gave meaning to life, to my having been alive, to my currently being alive. The only little things that meant anything to me, and I talked about this, I think, before, but I will try to emphasize it. When there's an absence of global meaning in your life and purpose, these little moments arise, and I call them grace notes. Grace notes are suddenly, for one moment, somebody looks at you a certain way, or a moment happens on TV and you laugh out loud, or you're washing your hands and it suddenly feels really good. These little grace notes come and you go, oh, that may be all the meaning you will get, and it may be all the meaning you need. I don't know. I had grace notes throughout the week. I would look at my wife and I would love her. And I knew we were in this together and that meant everything. And I felt it was a grace note. It didn't linger. It didn't just fill the atmosphere. It just arose, spoke itself, went away. And then I was filled with emptiness and complete meaninglessness again. My training now, and I describe it weekly, is to basically ask who is experiencing this meaninglessness and why is it having such a painful aspect? And I realize what is happening is it is revealing the edges and the contours of what remains of the separateness of Bruce, between Bruce and all there is. It shows me in its pain, in its meaninglessness and its frustration of having no purpose, where my fear lies. The idea that the universe is without meaning is horrifying to me. And yet, as the me starts to disappear and work away at the edges, meaning is no longer a contextual thing. It is no longer important. It's just accepting that there is no meaning, that there is no purpose, there only is. And to accept what is, to surrender to what is the core of the teaching. To let what is be, not to give it quality, not to give it purpose and meaning and directive and identity and all of that stuff, to truly, truly let go of having it be or mean anything and let it just exist in its own terms. I'm telling you, it's hard work. It is challenging. To who? To the remainder of this guy, Bruce, that's teaching you, trying to teach you. And I'm just teaching you through what I'm learning, which is there are boundaries still that need to be erased, if you will, expanded, dealt with. And for me, meaninglessness is a huge issue because I want it all to be purposeful. And yet, in some foundational, fundamental way, it is not. As I say, it's a challenge. And as the world starts to disintegrate in some way, as reality starts to fracture in some fundamental way, and we no longer have meaning to hold on to in the external, and we dive deep into the internal to find meaning, and then that goes away, wow, that's a training ground. That's a sit still and be there. And just don't react. Just don't sit there and go, oh no, why? What's the? It's just be. Just be. And the training that we do in this practice is learning to just be. And I will tell you, it will be a challenge. The challenge will deepen over and over and over. And every time you think you have it, the you that thinks it has it is the problem. Because ultimately, that you is not what you imagine it to be. At the core of Rudy's practice is, please help me to surrender. Please help me. And there's a you and an it. But in the non-dual world, which I began to explore decades ago, there is no you and it. There's only what is. Nisargadatta Maharaj, a man whose book I Am That, was foundational for me in beginning to explore the non-dual universe, is something I've been revisiting and finding really helpful because having not been reading it for the last several years, I've found myself moving more and more and more into whatever you want to call that. This, I'm not born, I do not die, I am, I just am. That is something that we all arrive at some point in time, although of course it's not a point and there is no time, but it is something we realize as having always been true. And that realization is the awakening moment, or the beginning of an awakening process that allows you to start to free yourself of everything, including that it's all meaningless. My grandson, Eli, formerly Elijah, had a 7th birthday party yesterday and had a trampoline in the front yard and a zip line and sleds because there's snow everywhere, and all of his kids and their parents in masks, but everybody all over the place. And it was really extraordinary. Blanche and I had thought maybe we shouldn't go because of exposure to so many people, but then we thought, sunny out, we'll just stand at the distance. And there was a big fire pit, and it was really beautiful. And we went, and we got there, I'd say 2/3 of the way through. And at some point, Eli excused himself and went into the house. He was done with his own party. Kids are still playing, having a great time. And I went in the house to go to the bathroom, and he's there and he goes, "I'm bored." And I just look at him and I go, "There's this whole world right outside. That's your birthday party. Why are you in the house bored?" No answer. No answer. But it spoke to me about a fundamental reality that we are all in. We have this exquisite life all around us. And yes, many of us are holed up in homes, and here it's snowy and cold. God knows you guys are lucky at 70 degrees weather. You can go out and go for long walks. We can't do that here. But there is a sense of confinement. And I think for many people, you've watched everything there is to watch on TV. You've seen every series. You've watched whatever there is. You've done everything you can do. And there's the same thing as with Eli. I'm bored. I'm bored. He's too young to give a real talk to about this, but you guys are not. There is a challenge. If you are bored and you are feeling that you are not directed in what to do, and I know some of you that's not true. Some of you are working hard day to day and you have jobs and are on Zoom and everything is fine, but some of you are very, very much alone at this point. And we have to find in that challenge how not to be bored and how not to be cut off from everyone and everything. And the only mechanism for that is ask for help and then reach inside and feel the warmth and connection of your own being, and then take that warmth and share it with people. You will not be bored. Take the warmth that you find inside and give it away. Take your care and concern about your own frustration and fear and try to bring light to that for yourself and then share it. That's what we can do during a challenge like this. Stop being the source of the problem. Stop being the one who's upset and bored and having a hard time and doesn't understand meaninglessness. Try to reach out and connect and share and love and have grace notes with other people and grace notes with yourself, and have a beautiful, beautiful moment-to-moment reality to the degree that you can. And if there are periods of time where there is no meaning and no purpose and it's completely empty, sit as still as you can and appreciate that even this will pass. We're here to learn, we're here to expand, we're here to grow, we're here to know who we are. Never in our lives has an opportunity been given that is as profound as what's been given now. This moment now is a great opportunity to meet a fundamental challenge. Take advantage, use it. Don't be bored. Don't be depressed. Don't be angry if you can find a way not to. Just embrace this moment. Find that source in you that cares about you, that loves you, and share that. Whatever you find with others, it will change everything. So I hope you all meet the challenge. Good luck. I really do love you all. And if anybody has a question or like something you want to say, feel free. You'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, doesn't look like anybody has a question. That's fine with me. If you have private questions along the way, please feel free to check in. I'm happy to try to be available. And in days where it's meaningless, a call from you actually changes that equation in a big way. And and it is meaningless. Let me just tell you that. It is meaningless, but that doesn't affect anything. Have a good, wonderful day. Enjoy